Last week in our Bible study, we took a look at Daniel 7 and also Revelation 17. So we were studying Revelation 17, but you can't study Revelation 17 without looking at Daniel 7. You can't study Revelation without understanding Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah. You got to understand the whole word together. The reason why we started our study of Revelation in Revelation 17 is because we needed to take a look at who the Antichrist is and be certain. That way we have a context by which we're looking at Revelation, and then it's going to make a lot more sense. By process of elimination between the 8 beasts, or the 7 beasts, and then the 8th beast is one of the 7. From the perspective of John in the vision, the word says in Revelation 17 that 5 had fallen, 1 is, and 1 was yet to come. Okay, 5 have fallen, that's 5. 1 is, number 6. 1 is yet to come, number 7. And that the 8th beast is of the 7 and will rise again to go to perdition. So we already know that the Antichrist has been here, first of all, and that the Antichrist is still here, but does not have the power and the reign that the Antichrist had previously, but will have it again. By process of elimination, and this is a spoiler alert if you haven't listened to those videos or you didn't participate in the Bible study, but that is Papal Rome. Papal Rome is the Antichrist. No question. God doesn't want us to have a question about that. If he's given us certain clues in the Bible, it means that he wants those who are pursuing, who have wisdom, are pursuing his wisdom. He wants to bestow that information to us. He does not want us to be confused. The thing he's directing my attention to right now is what's going on right now in history. You know, a lot of counterfeit Christians are having this narrative. They're putting out this narrative that Putin has something to do with the Antichrist, or that he somehow fits into like being Gog in Ezekiel 38 and 39. No, he doesn't. And they're vilifying Putin. And listen, I don't know what he's doing. It doesn't seem like he's up to any good. However, we are so stuck in that harlot that we don't even realize what's going on right now. We don't even realize that by process of elimination, Papal Rome is the Antichrist, the United States is the false prophet. We don't even realize that we are in bed with her because we're too busy looking outside at who's going to attack us and acting like we're in some secure position. Here's what's going on. Let me break down the kings for you in Daniel 7. Number 1, Babylon. Babylon fell to Medo-Persia. Medo-Persia fell to Greece. Greece fell to pagan Rome. Pagan Rome fell to Papal Rome. That's 5 kingdoms. Number 6, Papal Rome fell to atheistic communism. Atheistic communism fell to the United States. That's 7 beasts right there. That's 7 kingdoms. Same thing in Daniel 2. So there should be no confusion. You're going to have the same beasts spoken of in Daniel. Same order. Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, pagan Rome, Papal Rome. Papal Rome, who is seen as the feet of iron and clay. These 2 materials that do not adhere to one another. Christianity and paganism. Daniel 2 does not talk about the other 2 beasts, the 6th or the 7th, and doesn't talk about the 8th either. At least not as the 8th beast. It's the 5th beast. It's pagan Rome. Counterfeit Christianity. Gog in Ezekiel 38 and 39. Babylon the Great in Revelation. The Antichrist, Daniel 12. Sometimes referred to as a he, sometimes referred to as a she when you're talking about Babylon and the prostitutes that bore out of her. Referred to as a he when we're talking about the Antichrist. Does this make this a man? No, it's not a man, nor is it a woman in Revelation, as it's spoken of in Revelation. The Antichrist is the spirit of Satan who is revealed in these different systems and human beings. Anyone who denies Christ. Medicine is antichrist. It denies Christ. Science is antichrist. It denies that there is a creator, and Christ is our creator. These different religions that claim to be Christian, but preach a different Christ, antichrist. That show the chosen, preaching a different Christ, antichrist. You understand what the antichrist is? He is the man of lawlessness who is going to be revealed. Is he a man? No, he's the spirit of Satan. But he's referred to as the man of lawlessness who will be revealed. How is he going to manifest? In a beast. We're told that in Revelation. We're told that the dragon gives his authority over to the beast and that people look at the beast and worship him. Revelation 13, worship the beast. And in doing so, they're worshiping the dragon because the dragon is given authority to the beast. A beast in scripture is a kingdom, a nation, a government, or a string of governments. And so that beast is that string of governments, that string of kingdoms, 10 whose only purpose in God is to give authority over to the Antichrist. Starts out as a string of kingdoms, and then there is an Antichrist, that horn, one kingdom that comes up, the horn in Daniel, and knocks out the other kingdoms. Three other kings? The only purpose of all of these, all of these kingdoms that are in bed with her is to give power to her. And that is what the United States is doing as well. Now, when atheistic, so you have Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Papal Rome, Pagan Rome. Who took out Pagan Rome? We need to understand that. Who took out Pagan Rome? Atheistic communism. What's here again? What does Putin represent? Well, he represents a system that took out the Antichrist. You remember that in October 1990 that the Berlin Wall fell? Take down that wall? And the USSR dissolved, lost its power. Who's the villain here, by the way? The USSR? Putin? Russia? KGB? Who's the villain? You as a Christian are supposed to understand that the Antichrist is the villain. Who cares about all these other people? That's the player that is going to rise and kill Christians. So it's ridiculous. It's distraction. What do you think the Antichrist wants you to do? Wants you to look over at Russia and start pointing to Russia as your enemy. Do you see the deception that's going on right now? Christian nationalism saying, no, we want combination of church and state. Enough of this separation of church and state business. We want this combination of church and state. They don't even know what they're talking about. They're campaigning for the Antichrist. They're testifying to the Antichrist. The United States having its focus on Russia and the danger of Russia, that is a distraction. We're in bed with the Antichrist. Who took out atheistic communism? The work of the Pope and President Reagan. The Pope and President Reagan. These two people who represent what? The first and the second beast of Revelation 13. The first and the second beast of Revelation 13. The second beast is the United States. The first beast is Papal Rome. They have been in bed with each other. You understand that? We have been in bed with Rome, and it is waiting to rise again. What do you think is going on? Do you think that this is distraction with Russia? Listen, again, not saying that what he's doing is good, but it's a distraction from what is actually going on in the spiritual realm, and you need to know what's going on. You need to know that the United States is in bed with the Antichrist, testifying to the Antichrist, constantly distracting from what's actually going on. China's our threat. Russia's our threat. They're our biggest threats. And who's saying this? NATO. The whole world was filled with wonder and followed the beast. People worshiped the dragon because he had given authority to the beast. And they also worshiped the beast and asked, who is like the beast? Who can wage war against it? There is an ideology. There is an of one mind that has been formed in these different alliances. In NATO, in the Paris Agreement, in these climate summits, these are ideologies. Not only are they ideologies, but they are ideologies to the nth degree. They are a religion. You don't believe that? Well, let me ask you something. Did God not make an agreement with his people that when we see these things, we will turn to him, and that identifies us as his people? So if these people have an agreement that they will turn to the science God, is that not a religion? Are they not placing something up as God? It is a religion. It is an exaltation of the false god of science, in total opposition to what God established. When I send these things, if my people who are called by my name will turn to me, I will return to them, and I will heal them, and I will heal their land. He's the one who sends it, and he's the one who heals it. Why do you think, from a spiritual sense, that the United States is in bed with her and all of the key players, which I've told you, the 10 Germanic tribes representing the 10 kingdoms in Revelation, the 10 horns and 10 toes that are seen on that beast of Papal Rome? The 10 Germanic tribes, or the 10 kingdoms, represent Western Europe. So these are all the key players. Why do you think that they are forming together and forging an alliance? What do you think is going on there? Is this what God said was going to happen in the end? You keep looking at Russia, you're not going to understand what is written in Scripture. That's why we started in Revelation 17, because it's important for you to know who this is without a doubt, so that you can understand rather than floundering around trying to understand it and wasting time when you could be understanding what's going on right now, how this fits in to what we're seeing being built. You don't have time to flounder, nor is that God's will. You don't get the prize at the end because you solved a riddle. You'll get the prize at the end by recognizing the times and knowing what you ought to do, fulfilling that covenant. Does Russia have an axe to grind? Does communism have an axe to grind with the United States and Papal Rome? Yeah. Who brought them down? Who brought that power down? Of course. And I'm not saying one's good and one's bad. I don't agree with communism. And you know I don't agree with atheism. It's all Satan. This is all Satan. He fights against his own kingdom. He is a kingdom divided against himself and will not stand. Wars are going to rise all the way to the very end, okay? So you have to know that that's going to happen, but you need to understand who the players are, because otherwise you're going to get stuck in thinking that we're the good guys and they're the bad guys. And that's ridiculous. That's how it's being presented to you, isn't it? There are no good guys. You're also going to think that only God's people are in the United States and in Papal Rome, please. God's people are everywhere, all throughout this world, being persecuted. Daniel 12 tells us that the power of God's holy people is going to be broken. This is going to go on until the power of God's holy people is broken. Do not get caught up in this. Do not get caught up in thinking that we're safe and protected and powerful because we are part of NATO, that everyone else is an enemy. You need to know what's going on right now. You will not run from being persecuted, and neither will I. But this is what's going on right now. It is the great deception. You have to know that in order to know how to stand. Otherwise, you're going to get sucked into her. Now, I want to direct your attention to it if you haven't seen it already and figured this out. The United States is in league, has been in league with Papal Rome. The United States is the one that came together with Papal Rome in order to take down atheistic communism. Do you think that the false prophet has just risen, or do you think the false prophet has been here? Because we've been testifying. We joined her in order to take down the one that overcame her. It's only a matter of time, okay? So you have to understand what's going on in the spiritual realm. Do I think that, Reagan knew what he was doing? No, I don't think he knew what he was doing any more than I think that Pope knows what he's doing. People are going to be used according to what God has determined they will be used for. But that is what happened. We have been testifying to her for a while. Sorry, I keep saying we, and I know there are people in other countries that listen to this channel. We, from the perspective of me in the United States. So please understand all of the key players, the ideology, the religion that is being established. Science, like it or not, is a religion. It definitely causes you to defer to a God. Not a real God, not a good God, not a true God, and not a God who has power. But it does cause you to defer to a God. It is a religion. And the ideology that goes on in this alliance that has been made between the United States, Papal Rome, all those key players, the 10 tribes, the Western Europe, and anyone else who associates, don't get tripped up on the 10 kings. The 10 kings represent those 10 Germanic tribes. That's why it's referred to in that way. You don't need to go, well, there's, 100 and something in the United Nations. I mean, that doesn't matter. The key players is what matters. Anyone who is joining is of the same mind. Anyone who is joining has one purpose, and that is to give power to this Antichrist, to testify to this Antichrist. So, those of you in the United States, please look alive, because we have a habit here of thinking that we're so good, of thinking that everyone else is the enemy, of thinking that we're a Christian nation. I don't think so. We've become very arrogant, very puffed up, and very counterfeit. And there is a reason why that spirit of the Antichrist is dwelling in this nation and is testifying to the Antichrist. If we are so Christian, that spirit would not dwell here. And that's not coming from me. That is what God has told us. That spirit will not dwell here. He will choose the rulers over us. He still chooses the rulers over us, but he will choose the spirit that is going to reign over us based on whether we're choosing his spirit or we've turned away. There's a reason this is happening. There's a reason why the United States has been destined to be the false prophet. We're the reason. Ain't that something? We are the reason. His people are the reason. We really messed this up, and we need to return. It's already set in motion. We need to return as individuals. If we're going to be saved, we're going to need to return. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.